Hey everybody, I'm Grant Hires, and welcome back to Hardtek Studios. Today we're going to be taking the second part of my synth collection, Synths Part 2. Now most people see synthesizers as being controlled by traditional keyboards, but there's lots of different ways to control synthesizers, a lot of different ways. In fact, it was kind of debatable if a synthesizer, if it should be controlled by a standard piano keyboard. Well, for most synth companies, it did go with the keyboard. Now, a lot of synth companies, especially today, realize that a full-size keyboard is just a little bit too much for somebody who's already got 37 synthesizers. I know who you are. Some of us have limited space, and for that, a lot of companies have been making mini-key synthesizers. Now, the ones I'm going to be showing you are not going to be the Microchord or the Mini Brute or any of the Roland Boutique, for instance, or any of those keyboards. It is going to be some much older keyboards for people who just couldn't afford synthesizers and wanted some interesting sci-fi noises. So let's get started. First of all, we have a classic, Casio SK1. Oh yeah. And for people who are thinking, well, that's just a little basic sampler. No, it's got an actual synthesizer on. Most of the parameters are controlled by the keys. The keys work as buttons. They double as buttons. It is, when it comes down to it, a full-blown synthesizer. Just pretty basic. It's got envelopes. It's got tone controls. It's got different waveforms. You can do some really cool stuff with this little box. In addition to circuit bending it, I've circuit bent this thing twice. The first one was given to a very good friend. The second one is still in production. But yeah, circuit bending this thing can get some really great results. So if you have one of these, open it up, look up how to circuit bend a Casio SK1 and just do it. Do some simple bends, do the pitch bend, yeah, and have fun with it. It can make some amazing sounds. Next up, we have another mini keyboard, one that I've already circuit bent. This is the Yamaha PSS80. I don't really know if it's an FM synth or some kind of additive synth or something, but these four buttons right here control some synth parameters and modifying these presets right here. When it comes down to it, they can sound pretty cool. I circuit bended it to add some kind of tone shaping and straight up glitch sounds. I've also added a panic button just in case, which, you know, I never actually have to use this thing, and a speaker on off switch. So this was actually given to me by what I thought was a good friend, and he wanted me to circuit bend it thinking it was a SK1. I told him I would do my best, and pretty soon after I loaned him some pretty expensive equipment, which he purposely never returned and moved away. So I at least got to keep this and circuit bend it while he goes and rips other people off, I guess. Another mini key fun. Now for the big one of mini keys, the Yamaha PSS47. This gets into the full-blown synthesizer range. It has got, like, I mean, not as many controls as like a lot of the analog modeling synths and analog synths of today, but all these controls right here give you a lot of sound variation. You can go with the presets right here, or you can modify your own sounds. And it's also got, no, these are the drum loops. These are the presets. And it's also got drum loops. It's got a lot of features, a lot of really cool features. Another good friend of mine, one who has yet to actually rip me off, was working at a thrift store for a while. And because of that, I got this bad boy, was able to bend it with some more glitch switches and a drum mute, which somehow kind of half-fried the drum circuit, I guess, and now the drums only get about half as loud. But this will still mute them if you want. It didn't need a panic switch, and I didn't have to put a, I didn't mention. I also installed a 1/4 inch out on the Yamaha PSS80, excuse me. This actually has PSU import, RCA headphone, and battery slot. Lots and lots of really cool functions with this guy. And then you bend it and it goes even further. I probably could have bended it a little further than this, but I didn't. Now for a lot of non-keyboard synths, they still went with the chromatic pitch pattern, but it's not actual keys. It'll be like maybe a ribbon strip or some kind of touch sensitive matter. It all depends, but I got a few of those too. Let's take a look. First off, the stylophone. Very cool little Microsynth. It doesn't really have a lot to it. It's got a pitch knob on the back, and it's got 3 presets that you can choose: power on and off, and vibrato, which adds a lot of character. And from there you take this pen, and whenever you touch the key shapes to it, it makes that pitch. So it's pretty cool. It's got a very aggressive sound, but it can only do so much, and it can't be controlled by anything. You have to play it live. Alright, next up we have the Monotron series is controlled by this touch strip ribbon. You can use your fingers, you can use a stylus pen, whatever you feel like using. It also has auxiliary in and headphone out, so you can actually process whatever you want to with the filter and the LFO, which I've done many times on my videos. If you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. These are full-blown little micro analog synths. Very, very cool for the price range, about 50 to 60 bucks. This one is a Monotron Classic. I didn't say Classic because I probably didn't realize this was going to be the first of many. It's got a oscillator. It has got an LFO section right here, a filter section right here. The resonance gets really, really squeaky. I'm not sure. Cool. And you can choose to modulate the pitch or the filter with the LFO. And then they came out with 2 more. The Monotron Duo, which features 2 oscillators that can just play together at the same pitch at different pitches, or modulate each other into all kinds of twisted, cool sounds. It's also got a basic filter. And there's also what I think is the coolest one, the Monotron Delay, which has a analog delay. Mine's actually starting to crap out. Probably just a matter of me going in there and fixing it. It also has a single oscillator, an LFO which can control the pitch, and 2 different LFO waves, a triangle or a square. It has a delay time knob and a delay feedback knob, which is also delay depth. So the higher the depth, the higher the feedback that goes with it. And a filter knob, which actually filters the delay feedback signal. So you can get some really cool effects if you really crank up the feedback to where it's on an automatic loop. Lots of fun with this box. Again, I've already used it several times in my videos. Go check it out. Alright, now we're going to get into the weird stuff. Leap Labs. LeapLabs.com. Magical stuff happens there. Like the first. The thingamaboop. It is a single oscillator synth. This one changes what the LFO that is inside it controls, and this one changes the low or high frequency range. It's a drone synth. Constantly plays. There's the speaker. It's got this little light thing. Now we're in the high frequency range. That's the low frequency range. And the more light that this little nose right there gets, the higher the pitch of the oscillator gets. So if you start going like this, so it's kind of like a theremin, but the pitch is controlled in reverse. I've had this for a really long time. It's been on a lot of videos. It's made a lot of appearances. It's really cool. And that controls LFO speed of this little blinky thing, the LED-icle, which is a combination of the word LED and tentacle. Lots of fun with this little guy, but this was only the first. Then they came out with the Thingamakit. Now you could buy a basic Thingamakit already built, or you can buy the full kit, which include the printed circuit board, all the components, these LED-ical things, the little light sensors in his eyes, the knobs, the switches, all the components, and this sturdy metal case. It included everything you need to fully complete this. Look at all those controls. Look at all that control variation. You had a volume knob that was also the on and off switch, an output jack, and this is kind of like a, it's hard to really describe it. It's almost like a CV / gate / envelope input for whatever audio signal you want to put in there, and it just kind of freaks it out a little bit more. The back built-in speaker, I had to drill those holes myself. This case was so freaking hard to drill through. Very cool box. So I kind of count this as the Thingamagoop 1.5. And here we have the Thingamagoop 2, which you could buy, again, fully assembled or in kit form. And it came in 3 different facial patterns, and which also depended on what color the LED vehicle was going to be, the LED tentacle. And I bought mine as a kit and painted the whole thing black with some Adidas Nike style stripes on the sides, and that was cool. I built this again from almost scratch. The printed circuit board was included in all the components. I had to solder it all together and build it, and again drill more. No, this one I didn't have to drill holes. They were nice enough to include a pre-drilled enclosure. Here is the output. Right here is the CV input and output. So this actually works with your modular gear. Right here is a PSU input. And right here is to program Arduino. Arduino? Am I saying it right? Whatever. So it worked just like the old Thingamagoop original, or you could get the Arduino going. I don't have a battery in this right now, otherwise I'd play with it. And really, really tweak and freak it out. So each one got better, but still I'm going to have to say my favorite was the 1.5, the kit. Now, after buying the Thingamagoop 2, I came up with a whole bunch of ideas on how I wanted to modify it. So I bought another kit without the enclosure, creating the ugly cousin. It is awesome. I have my own enclosure, my own feet, my own paint job. I reversed some of the wiring, did some cool stuff. This is a little button to actually trigger the sound. Instead of it being a drone synth, it is now a triggered synth. And it's got lots of fun unlabeled knobs and switches. It's been on a couple of my videos. Again, go check them out. Really cool. And this is some kind of worm coming out of his bladder. The Thingamagoop series is not the only audio PAL that Bleep Labs came up with. They also came up with the Blob, which I don't have any version of the Blob. There was only a limited number made, and I just didn't have the money for such a expensive basic device. But when the second version came around, I did pick it up. Here it is, the Blob 2. It is a little creature goo guy in the bottom of some kind of science glass with lots of stuff going on top. There's a battery in there, that's how it's getting power. This is actually the 1/8 inch output. And all these alligator clips, when you clip them on the thing, kind of rewire the circuit to make all kinds of different little bend-like effects. Plus you've got a wave shaper buttons right here. So, very, very cool little piece. The fun thing about that was if you wanted to build your own, you could just get this guy, the Blob Jr. It didn't so much look like anything except for just like a weird little circuit, but it worked with the same principle. These pads are the same thing as a metal post on the original Blob 2. Switch them out and jam it. Make all these really cool drone loops. I've used these, I've actually got 2 of these and the one Blob 2 original in the glass, so I can get a lot of noise going on with these. One of them actually has the chip from the original Blob in it to make it sound a little bit more different. Now after all those fun little audio friends, Bleep Labs got a little bit more serious and decided to start coming up with some more unique, less character-themed instruments, like the Nebula Phone. I think I'm saying that right, Nebula Phone. Nebula Phone. It is a little synthesizer with a few knobs and a few controls, and by holding one control down and hitting the other, you get different effects. 1/4-inch output, battery powered, and you play it by touching this little alligator clip to these different pads, which you can actually set the tuning on, or you could just kind of clip it on there for another version of a drone synth. And apparently you can sync it up to other systems like this using this weird little LED light right here on either side, by kind of making sure the LED lights sync up and can see each other. I've never really tried it, but I'm sure it can do some cool stuff. But yeah, little chiptune synth. And finally, the last little guy that I got to show you, the Pico Passo. It's got 2 little knobs and 2 little buttons and 2 little light sensors, each controlling a different thing. I don't remember exactly what now. One of them is filter. And these buttons each control a different pitch. One of them is a lower pitch and one of them is a higher pitch. It's got 1/4-inch output, and it has a battery slot for a 9-volt battery. This one's not on any of my videos, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's not. I think that's it. I think that's all of my non-traditional MIDI synthesizer synths. So, look forward to some new music gear videos. Look forward to a very special unboxing video very, very soon. Something I've been waiting on for a long time. And look forward to some more jams with some gear that I got over here. Stay tuned, subscribe, like my videos. Please comment on my videos. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you would like to see. Make requests. Next part in the studio tour series is going to be groove boxes and drum machines. So until then, keep making noise.